8/15/2022 week in review. Going to kick it off with comments as I always do. But before I dive into that, I'm thinking about separating the comments from these week in reviews. So basically what I mean is do a specific video a few days after the week in review just dedicated to going through all the comments. Because I think doing the comments and then actually going through the week in review points from the week prior is a lot. So maybe every week 2 videos. One where I just do the week in review, and the second where I actually address the comments and take my time and go through them. So let me know what you guys think. Keep them together or separate them and have 2 different videos, one with comments and one just with the week in review. Okay, so we'll go into some comments right now. Hey Dave, can you describe your relationship and history of Josh Bridges? I feel like somewhere I heard you two known each other before CrossFit with your SEAL background, and I'd like to know more. Thank you for your service, Dave, and all you've done for CrossFit and still doing. This is from Westy. So Josh, I put him through Buds. So I met him in Buds. I was an instructor. I was teaching at the end, SQT, CQC, CQB at the end. And he was one of the students. And even then, I mean, that's when I first noticed how fit he was. It was pre all the game stuff. And I remember one of the things he was doing at the time was like 3 Frans back to back to back in under 10 minutes. So, and he couldn't keep up with me on the rucks. So, yes, we go way back. Al Beamy. Really appreciate you doing the videos and all you have done. Have you or would you do any seminar training material for functional movements used in firearms training for LEO mill besides typical burpees, sprint the shooting, and moving? Also would love to hear your thoughts on CrossFit as we age into 40s, 50s, i.e. movements takeout. Wadcast podcast has mentioned that topic and you'd be great to discuss. On the military stuff, so I think in general, CrossFit movements, the type of movements we do in the program are really appropriate for those type of training. I think what you see with a lot of the functional movement programs or how they dive into that community, they water everything down and take out the complex movements and teach basically skill-less variants of things or skill-less pursuits. So for example, you'll see oftentimes people replace snatches with sled pulling. So sled pulling has no real skill to it, where snatch is a highly technical, or replacing the cleans and the snatch. And also trap bar deadlift, that's just an excuse not to actually teach someone how to properly deadlift. So that topic there could dive into and really spend a lot of time talking on, but in this format I'm not going to do that. As we age into 40s and 50s, sprinting for sure. I think all out sprints. Not that it's that common in CrossFit anyways, but sometimes you see it. I don't think we should do in the later in our later age, especially if you don't come from a background having trained with movements like that. So that's what I think. What do you think about Bill Maher's bit on fat shaming and acceptance from Ben Alderman? Well, I don't think we should fat shame in general, but I do think there is a lot of unhealthy side effects of being overweight that I think should be taken into consideration. And I do not think that the notion of losing weight when you have excessive pounds should be viewed as fat shaming or a bad thing. I think it just leads to I've seen obesity. I saw the damages it did to my father, to my family. So I think it's a serious thing. Not a fan of fat shaming, but I also think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I think, to go to Bill Maher's thing, I think it was appropriate for someone like him to say it. I can't say that, but for someone like Bill to say it, kudos to him. Kenya Clark, thanks for what you have done, Dave. CrossFit saved my life. As a vet, I suffer from PTSD and severe depression, and walking into my affiliate keeps me here each and every day. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you. Vanessa Hayes Boblet, I'm going to ask a question that probably everyone knows but me. But what happened to Eric Rosa? Sorry if I misspelled his name. I thought he was the CEO of CrossFit. Eric, E-R-I-C, correct. Rosa, R-O-Z-A. That was correct spelling of his name. Richard Withy. Dave, has there been any metrics done to show if restructuring, disbanding the CF media team has affected the growth in the affiliates? I feel like HQ could help the affiliates by creating more content on the everyday aging athletes, CrossFit kids, and people who've drastically changed their physical and metabolic conditioning. I agree. And so, yes and no. I would say there's been some, we definitely need to be making more content like you just described to support the affiliates and the community and the broader CrossFit audience. I'm not going to speak too much if there's been any metrics done to show if the restructuring, disbanding of the media team has affected the growth in affiliates. It's a little more complicated. There was a lot going on, and there's a lot to look at when talking about that, when those points. Let's get into some deep dive questions. This is someone saying this. Precision shooting, reloaded ammo versus stock ammo, stock barrel materials, stock barrel precision and durability after 1K, 10K versus carbon fiber barrel and precision durability. Depends on what caliber you're shooting. I have both carbon fiber and non-carbon fiber barrels. Scope reticle, MRAD or MOA. Mills, I use Mills. Christmas tree. And thanks for creating this channel, Dave. I'm just too good said. Good question about tactical fitness. To be honest, even the Army does a poor job defining it. They probably have not defined it. The trainers hired by the Army to train the SF groups generally miss the marks in terms of training for performance, since most of them come from football or college athletics backgrounds. They do a good job taking care of soldiers with injuries. That's a positive. The Army spends millions on this program, and they could have just hired L2 trainers with military backgrounds and had much better outcomes. I definitely agree with that. The military, and I saw when I was in, they get enamored with this notion of strength and conditioning coaches from the traditional world, specifically collegiate strength and conditioning coaches, professional strength and conditioning coaches, and oftentimes those coaches don't have the right understanding of what the military or the soldier or the sailor needs in terms of their fitness, and really the CrossFit notion of broad, general, inclusive fitness is a better approach than sometimes what sport-specific people prescribe. So let me see. Actually, I think I just missed the page. Oh yeah, here we go. So that's it for the comments today. Again, let me know if you think I should separate them in the comments for this video. Last week or a couple days ago on my Instagram, I posted a video of that we did with 511, and well, there's a couple videos I posted from 511. One was a video with a shooting competition that I did with 511 that I hosted and 511 sponsored. It was called Move and Shoot. So you ran over a course of about 1.5 miles, and you shot at various at different stages. You stopped and engaged long-range targets out to about 1,000 yards. That video was really cool. I'm hosting another event like that in November. So check out my TDC Hunts Instagram if you want more information on that type of competition. But there was another video. So I posted a workout video, and I put in the caption, a few months ago, 511 asked me for some weight vest only workouts, and then I put the video up. Well, someone commented. I saw the comment. I didn't read all the comments. I usually don't read all the comments. But they said, wow, it took you 3 or 4 months to come up with this. No, the point of that, what I meant with that whole post was 3 or 4 months ago, we filmed all of those, and that's just the video that came out. So there's 3 workouts we filmed. We went to CrossFit Hanford, and I had no idea actually what we were going to do. They said they wanted to do some workout stuff, and they were like, can you make 3 workouts with a weight vest and brief them and have them only be weight vests only and body weight so people can do them at home. So I busted out a notepad or pad of paper, and in 5 minutes came up with 3 workouts that were different, very different, but yet had to use body weight and had to use a weight vest. And then we filmed them at that period, and then months later they sent them, and now they're starting to release them. So they released one. I'll release the other 2 as they release the other 2, but they're pretty cool workouts. They're classic CrossFit. And when your constraints are create 3 workouts with the weight vest and just body weight, they're to not have too much redundancy you lose a lot of choices of things to do. But I think the three I created are each different enough to where, and in my mind, different enough to where they create a whole story and talk well to each other. So when you see the other two, let me know. But it didn't take me months. But the point of me talking about this was it didn't take months for me to come up with those three workouts, as someone suggested. Last week, I had a meeting with Khalipa. He came down here, and we hung out and shot the shit, and took him up to the shooting range, and he did some shooting with his pistol, with his Glock, and he's a pretty good shot. He's been working with the Santa Clara County SWAT team, and they've taught him a lot. So he had some good basic fundamentals. But he had just came back from a trip to Africa, and he brought this with him. And hold on one second. He got a bunch of these apparently and said he was gonna, or he gave it to me as a gift from Africa. And it's called a rungu. A rungu is a wooden throwing club or baton bearing special symbolism and significance in certain East African tribal cultures. It is especially associated with Maasai warriors who have traditionally used it in warfare and for hunting. So super cool. It's a nice piece of wood. I'd love to hunt something with it, but that's probably not really going to happen, especially in the idea of clubbing an animal here in the States probably wouldn't be too popular. But super cool. Thanks, Jason. I really like this. I actually did a post about it on my Instagram too. That same night, so that was last week, I met with Jason. I think it was on Monday. That same night, I ended up meeting up with Glassman and Sevon. Greg texted me and asked me to come to dinner with them at Cafe Cruz in Santa Cruz. He's in town for a couple weeks, and so it's always good seeing Greg. People ask me about him all the time, and whenever I post, there's so much positivity and love and support for him. And even when I'm out in public, I rarely ever hear, and I guess to me nobody is going to, but any negative stuff about him, especially from the affiliates. A lot of affiliates, and especially a lot of the old time affiliates, really miss him and his contributions and what he did for CrossFit and what he he built the thing, right? So I'm really happy that I maintained a relationship with him and didn't let what happened over the course of the 2 years basically define my 15, 16-year relationship with him. What I mean by that is, over the course of 2 years, essentially him getting canceled, there was a lot of things that were said that for sure were not true, that people, I think, said in terms of kind of like piling on and taking advantage of the scenario. So it was interesting to watch all that go down, but through that, I'm happy that I stayed in contact with him and maintained a relationship with him. I think it's really important that CrossFit has a relationship with him in general, because again, he's the man who created this methodology and built essentially what so many of us do. So I will continue to be friends with Greg unapologetically, and I hope there'll be a point where CrossFit's more aligned and recognizing that what he created and able to give him more attribution for the things he's done, because I feel like it's been a little strange for the past couple of years in regards to that. Hopefully going forward it can be much better. Also had a call with Don in street parking with Miranda and Julian. That was really good. It was no agenda other than just to introduce them. I am a big advocate and big fan, obviously, of Miranda and Julian, and I feel like also with them over the course of the last 4 or 5 years, there's been this interesting relationship with them from our end mostly, where it felt like people viewed them almost as competition or not CrossFit. And obviously Miranda and Julian are from the CrossFit community and have done a lot with CrossFit. Miranda specifically worked for us for probably over a decade. So I think us, again, like having a good relationship with Greg I think us having a good relationship with people like Miranda is also incredibly important and beneficial to both of us. So I wanted to get them just linked up and make sure, we all know we're all aligned in goals in terms of exposing the world and as many people as we can to this great methodology and this style of training. Did an affiliate trip or did an affiliate visit to CrossFit Palo Alto. That was a good visit. We had about 15 affiliates there. Don came and I spoke. Well, in this environment, they kind of speak to us and we just ask questions, and they asked a few questions of us too. But it was really good setup, really good group of people. They talked about a lot of different topics to include COVID, the level 1, nutrition, on-ramps, kids classes, and they dove deep into some of those topics and really picked them apart and shared ideas and talked about what worked best and what doesn't for each of them. But as all affiliates are, there's so much difference in this community with how each person does their runs their affiliate, and there's strength in that because there's a lot to be learned. There's a lot to learn from other affiliates, and when you put them in a room and they start talking to each other, there's a lot of cool dialogue that transpires. Had a call with TJ Cooper and Randy, two old affiliates from their like the top 15. In that top 15, I'm chipping away, going down the list, and that was really TJ Cooper. He's been around forever. He was one of the earliest affiliates. I think he's 2 or 3 on the list, and he worked at Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Department, and he still works for them. He also teaches CrossFit to the new recruits coming through that program. We talked a lot about we talked a little bit about a 1-day CrossFit offering, which is something I've been working on. I've talked about a few times on this in terms of something for military, LEO, and fire, and each one can be different, targeted to those audiences as an introduction to the methodology and to the style of training. So it's not finished yet and it's not ready for the world, but something I'm working on and steering to Rain. I've had multiple calls. That reminds me, I need to call Matt Chan. Had multiple calls with various fire and police representatives over the last few weeks from a call, basically a call to action I put out here where they contact me. And so still that's proceeding, looking at all the options, looking at ways to do something there. And Saturday, Friday after that call, Frank, who owns First City CrossFit, he emailed me, and we had an exchange going back and forth about CrossFit and some of the things CrossFit should be doing for affiliates. That's been ongoing for a few weeks. He emailed, and I had emailed him and suggested something, and his response back said, "Hey, sorry, I've been really busy, but just preparing for my comp this weekend. I'll follow up with you after the comp." Well, so he has a gym for City CrossFit in Monterey, and when he said that, I was like, "Oh, okay. He has a competition this weekend." He didn't really invite me the way the email was written, so I Googled it and saw that there was a competition that the next day, Saturday, a team competition, pairs at his gym. So then I decided to make a trip out there on Saturday. I drove out there and stopped by, and cool setup, really nice gym, a lot of people. There are people from all over this Northern California, Central Valley area. There are people from, I think, as far as Sacramento, Lodi. There are people from Maderos' gym. Diablo CrossFit was there. Saw Alessandra Picelli. So it was really nice competition, small, grassroots. Everyone seemed pretty happy. Everyone really enjoyed the format. So I always enjoy dropping into competitions like that are semi-local, and that was totally local, that are local and close by. So if there's any other competitions coming up in this area or in the Bay Area that are small but CrossFit competitions and you'd like me to drop in, let me know, because I have no way of knowing about these competitions otherwise. I'm not really looking at the locations where these would be posted or or looking online for them. So email me, dave@crossfit.com, if you have a competition in the Bay Area or within a couple hour radius from the ranch, and I'll try to head out and check it out. Okay, so that's it for the week in review. Thanks a lot, and again, let me know about the comments. Should I do a separate video where I just go through all the comments? I think I should, but I want to hear what you guys say. All right.